You book a 7-day cruise on a megaship. The cruise line sells you the ticket for $1,500. You think you just scored a luxury vacation for the price of a cheap hotel. The cruise line thinks they just lured a captive audience into a $2 billion asset recovery machine. You both think you got a great deal. You're both right. But only one of you understands the unit economics. Because you forgot to look at the flag on the back of the boat and the margin on that cocktail in your hand. Let's look at the icon of the seas. 1,196 feet, 20 decks, 7,600 passengers. It cost $2 billion to build, and it has a hard expiration date of roughly 25 years before it's sold for scrap. That math means this ship has to clear $80 million in pure profit every single year just to justify its own steel. And yet, they sell you a ticket for $150 a day. The math doesn't work until you step on board and realize the ticket is just the loss leader. Day 1. You walk up the gangway. The buffet is endless. The pools are massive. Everything feels all-inclusive. You have a key card on a lanyard and a frozen drink in your hand. The cruise line has your credit card pre-authorized and linked to that exact same lanyard. This is where the real business model begins. It is easy to look at these ships and wonder how on earth they turn a profit, charging so little for so much real estate. The answer is that the $1,500 ticket is a cost recovery mechanism, not a profit center. If you board that ship and never spend another dollar, the cruise line is in deep trouble because once you factor in food, fuel, port fees, and the wages of 2,000 crew members, that fare barely covers the operational burn rate. The profit engine doesn't start until the ship reaches international waters and the casino lights flicker on. Once you're on the ship, you're a captive audience. The average passenger spends an additional $100 to $125 per day on board. Drinks, Wi-Fi, specialty steaks, spa treatments, and it is entirely by design. Cruise ships are engineered to maximize foot traffic exposure to high-margin inventory. The path from your cabin to the free dining room runs straight past the duty-free watch store and the casino. They restrict outside alcohol not for safety, but to protect their highest-margin beverage monopoly. When your alternatives are buy it here or go without, the cruise line has a pricing power that most retailers would kill for. Day 3. The ship docks in Ensenada, Mexico. You get off, take a photo with a sombrero, buy a magnet, and get back on. You think the cruise line added the stop to give you a cultural experience. They didn't. They added it to save roughly $2 million in fines. This is regulatory arbitrage. Look at the back of the ship. It doesn't say New York, it says Panama, Liberia, or the Bahamas. These are flags of convenience. A foreign flagged ship cannot transport passengers only between U.S. ports without violating the Passenger Vessel Services Act of 1886. The fine is $798 per passenger. On a ship with 7,000 passengers, a simple LA to San Diego loop would trigger a $5.5 million penalty. So what did they do? They add a 4-hour stop 50 miles south of the border, Ensenada. That stop transforms the trip from illegal domestic transit to international voyage. The cost of the detour, a few $1,000s in fuel. The savings? Nearly $2 million. They're not selling you a trip to Mexico. They're selling themselves a legal tax shield, and that's pure EBDA engineering. By day 5, you're deep in the rhythm. Your room is cleaned twice a day. Dinner service is flawless. You're interacting with incredible staff from the Philippines, Indonesia, and Eastern Europe. But there is a second, much bigger loophole keeping this $2 billion asset afloat. Labor arbitrage. Because the ship flies a flag of convenience, usually Panama or Liberia, it is exempt from U.S. minimum wage laws, overtime regulations, and corporate income taxes. That is why your cabin steward works a 7-day week, often for 3 to 12 months straight, living in a tiny cabin below the waterline. The cruise line gets world-class hospitality at a fraction of the cost of an American hotel worker. This system saves the cruise line millions annually in payroll taxes and wage compliance. It is the only reason your ticket was $150 a day. Without the structure, you're paying $400 just to cover the labor line item. Day 7. You're tired, sunburned, and happy. You spent exactly what you budgeted, plus maybe a little more at the blackjack table. But a cruise ship might be a vacation for you. It can never take a vacation for itself. The moment you leave, the turnaround day miracle begins. The clock starts at 6 a.m. In less than 8 hours, 7,000 people are offloaded, 15,000 pounds of potatoes, 70,000 eggs, and 3,000 gallons of soda are loaded on. An army of housekeepers cleans 3,000 cabins, fuel is pumped, trash is hauled. By 1 p.m., new passengers are boarding. By 5 p.m., the ship is gone, whether you made it or not. Because the faster that ship reaches international waters, the faster the casino opens and the high-margin revenue starts flowing again. An empty ship is a liability. A moving ship with open shops is an asset. The cruise industry isn't a scam. It's more sophisticated than a scam. It's a voluntary tax on the geometry of a hallway and the sound of a slot machine. If you understand the game, you can win. If you book an interior cabin, skip the drink package, eat only in the main dining room, and ignore the casino, you are genuinely extracting a subsidized vacation. You're getting luxury at a price point that is mathematically impossible to replicate on land. But you have to understand the engineering behind the experience. You walked onto that ship thinking you bought a leisure vacation. The cruise line knew they were deploying a floating economy where every hallway, every port stop, and every deck chair is perfectly calibrated to earn its keep. The next time someone tells you they found an unbelievably cheap cruise, ask them one question. Did you include the margin? Because the cruise line definitely did.